Okay, so we've got some big updates here. There is now a Stormgate patch that has just been announced. I'm not even sure if it's active in the game yet or not, but this is happening in between the middle of EGC Stormgate, which I will be casting next week, by the way. So guys, please join me for that. Real quick here, it says Vanguard and Infernal see tons of changes. We'll jump right into the juicy details of the patch notes, starting with the human Vanguard. The Scout, aka the dog, has seen its upgrade, Valorium Claws, increased in cost from 25-25 to 50-50. An increased research time from 30 seconds to 60. This should reduce the unit's impact in the early game, with it taking longer for the upgrade to come online. That's not too surprising. The dog rushes were really good. I love doing them too. I didn't mind playing against them, but it's not really too shocking to think that they probably wanted to get that toned down a little bit. And I think the dog rush is still viable. They just need to figure out how potent they actually want the early game to be. And it does look like Keyed Vanguard changes also included the Hornet's Reclaimer Stingers damage increased from 10 to 8. And the medtech supply cost increased from 2 to 3. So that's interesting. I don't have very strong feelings about that. Let's go a little bit further along here. Meanwhile, the Infernal Host saw a variety of changes. Fiends now all 0 white health down from 7.5. Although the Brute's Sunder Soul ability now grants Spawn Fiends maxed white health 15. Another huge change saw the Hellborne almost reworked, with just about everything increasing from the supply from 5 to 8, health from 200 to 260, cost from 150 to 150, to 250, 225, and the damage from 30 plus 40 for structure to 50 plus 50 for structure, including splash damage going from 15 to plus 20 for structure to 25 plus verse structure. That can't be plus verse structure twice. That must be a mistake in there. Okay, that's actually a pretty good improvement. The Hellborne was a pretty underwhelming unit, so that's a good improvement. It didn't feel like it had anywhere near the potency it should have had, and even when it has great range, but it didn't seem to do that much in a lot of the fights we were having there. There was also an adjustment on the Hellspawn Resurgence with its Animus cost increasing from 25 to 40, as well as changes to most units. Overall, both factions saw a decent amount of nerfs. You can check out the full details in the Stormgate beta notes below. So this is patch notes as of February 15th. February 13th. High APM players should no longer experience total client freezes in late game. I was having a little bit of that. Unit active abilities should no longer have negative effects on frames per second. Bob Overcharge can no longer be cast on command posts under construction. Thank God. That was insanely powerful. I was doing it too. Everybody was doing it, but it did not make any sense. Like, if there was one thing I was 100% sure that was not going to stay, it was going to be that exploit. Launch sensor drone can no longer be launched from command posts under construction. I didn't even know that people could do that. Shroud Stone manifestation can no longer be cast near shrines or shroud stones under construction. Another trick I didn't know about. Shroud Stone manifestation can no longer be cast near enemy shrines or shroud stone. Makes sense. Fix an issue where Nightfall infestation could follow a targeted unit. Health camps now provide the intended heal rate of 8 health per second. Okay, I was wondering about that. I felt like the health camps never did anything. If I stayed on a health camp, I always started to get anxious because it was not healing me fast and I couldn't do anything. So that's going to be interesting to see what kind of role that plays. Since you would think, especially with some of these maps, having a health camp near like an opponent's expansion, you could use that as an outpost. You could attack them, run back, heal, and maybe attack it again. I think in general, we're going to see creep camps probably play a more defined, bigger role. I do like that they're starting out with a lot of the creep camps is a little bit milquetoast in some cases, but you know, as the game kind of forms, we can figure out what role those camps are going to play. Fix an issue where Lancers and Medtechs could unintentionally fit through certain walled areas. So I remember this. Lancers could fit through some areas that dogs couldn't, which is hilarious. I was wondering when I saw that, I was like, is that intentional? But yeah, okay, that's good. So the units that look bigger are in fact bigger and can fit through smaller areas. The Magmadon's trample ability can no longer affect air units. I didn't know that was happening, but that's really funny. The Magmadon's trample ability can no longer affect structures. Medtech's System Shock now correctly dispels Infest. I had not gotten enough late games where I was playing versus Infest to experience that. I've only just gotten, I feel like, kind of into an okay spot in the mid game here with Vanguard. The Vulcan's jump jet's ability will no longer be blocked by an enemy corpse. Okay, balance changes. Level 2 speed camps have been updated to spawn fewer goats. Interesting. So the reason why this matters is that Infest, I mean, everybody's trying to figure out how to take full advantage of Infest, and those speed camps tend to have a lot of units you can kill there. So right away, you can kite those goats, get the speed buffs, and have a lot of fiends that are obviously going to be very fast and try to take some fights. I think it's a cool part of the game. I guess they want to mitigate how pronounced that is. The Scout, the claws upgrade have been increased. I think this is fine. Valerium claws upgrade research time increased from 30 seconds to 60 seconds. We talked about that earlier. This reminds me a little bit of the StarCraft 1 9-pool Speedling Rush. I think it's a fun way to play, and I think even though it can be tricky for new players, I think it's a good feature to have for certain races, is that they can go down a route where they're going to have a lot of fast, weak units, but by playing in that way, you're investing in a bunch of units that maybe aren't going to be that strong later, and then getting upgrades for those units, which may not play a role later. So I think there's some cool ideas there for sure. We already covered the medtech supply cost. Hedgehog mobilized. Hedgehog ammo recharge time decreased from 1.2 to 1 second. Okay. Deployed Hedgehog ammo recharge time decreased from 0.6 seconds to 0.5 seconds. No strong opinions there. The Vulcan's range has been increased from 7 to 8. Evac release Skymine cooldown decreased from 120 seconds to 20 seconds. Release Skymine now has a 15 Luminite cost. Interesting. Skymines now persist until detonated or killed. Okay, so that's going to change quite a bit on the map if they're going to be more permanent. Hornet, Reclaimer Stinger's damage decreased from 10 to 8. So the Hornet's not going to be as powerful. Flat Cannon, anti-air attack range increased from 10 to 12. Attacking an air unit will now only deal splash damage to other air units. So I guess that was affecting the ground then earlier. Okay. Infernal Host. Hellspawn Resurgence Animus cost increased from 25 to 40. Inflamed Imp damage decreased from 100 plus 100 for structure to 100 plus 50 for structures. So I didn't get a chance to mess with this, but it did seem like if you got far enough in the game, you could probably use the imps to just not even blow up their workers, but blow up their shrines or command posts. So I guess they wanted to have a small nerf on that. And it does seem like the imp's role right now is maybe to just stop a death ball of bio. So it doesn't really impact the bio play. Brute, the Sunder Soul ability now grants spawned fiends max health. Okay, we knew about that from the early thing. Fiends, all fiends will start with 0 white health by default, down from 7.5. This includes both fiends born from Infest and ones that drop from brutes on death. Movement speed is increased from 6 to 7, so that's pretty big. They're actually even faster. That's kind of wild. It does seem like Infernal is pretty slow, with the exception of the Fiends, so I guess they wanted to give them a little bit more of an opportunity with the weaker units to get surrounds and try to actually take fights. Especially in Vanguard versus Infernal, it does seem like Infernal's in control early on, and then Vanguard gets enough bio that Infernal really doesn't control the map that much. They have to be very cautious about where they move and go. I agree with the reduction or elimination of defaulting white health on Speens fawning out here. Probably better to figure out for Infernals how to get play where they're going to have Shroud in that area so they can try to take advantage of that way. Gaunt weapon bounce range decreased from 5 to 3.5. Okay. Yeah, I'm not sure how much the Gaunt's weapons were bouncing, but I'm sure that's probably a reasonable amount. Gaunts seem to be especially useful in worker lines or whenever you have any bunch of weak units put together. 5 to 3.5. I mean, I think 3.5 is still going to be decent range. Doombringer. The Doombringer can now load units while in mobilized mode. So then why would you ever not have it in mobilized mode? I guess because you can get Shroud? That seems pretty good. Oh, you can load units, but you can't unload them. Is that correct, chat? By the way, if you're on YouTube, sorry, my Twitch chat was in the way of my of us being able to read this together. So you can't drop them, but you can pick them back up. Well, that still seems pretty good. Magmadon consume cooldown increased. I actually forgot they had the consume ability. I haven't really messed with that as much. Now, the Hellborne we were talking about earlier, I think this is good that they made the Hellborne basically more of a powerful unit. It's a little bit more expensive, but it feels like you're going to get more value out of it. Shadow Flyer now deals 125 damage to its primary target and 50 damage in an area of 3, down from 125 in the entire area. So it's a little bit more like a Scourge and a little bit less like a Baneling, I guess. But I think that's fine. Yeah, no more of 4 flying things all exploding at once. I kind of enjoyed that, but I mean, I guess as we get better and better at the game, we need to have a place for it. Here we are with the Weaver. I was wondering if they were going to have any major changes. The Weaver does seem to be so hard to use right now. Weaver, lash cooldown increased from 12 seconds to 16 seconds. Lash damage changed from 60 to 20% of a unit's max health. Okay, so it's got a specific amount of damage now. Consume cooldown increased from 0.25 to 5. Not too many strong feelings there. It is cool to see what changes have been made, and it is also crazy to see how much better and how much better everybody's getting, and how much we're really getting a meta sorted out with all these experts coming in from StarCraft, from Warcraft, from Age of Empires, and to see all these ideas at play. And I think we're going to have to be ready for a lot more changes to come in here. I mean, this is really exciting, and I think these changes are good. I'm always a little bit afraid that an RTS developer will just see that something's too much of a trend and try to undo it, where no matter what, there's going to be metas, there's going to be concepts that are going to make the game fun and interesting. And it does seem like right now some of the biggest challenges are going to be how much damage do things do, how much do the upgrades cost, how long do they take to get, what is the right supply, all that kind of stuff. A lot of the numbers are going to be played around with a lot. It does seem like a lot of the stuff was very cheap. Like the dog upgrade, is it called the Shroud Stone? Is that what the turret is for Infernal? That's extremely cheap. I wonder if they're just kind of letting that be cheap for now until they can figure out. They're giving the players like enough defense and enough opportunities early on. And then I would not be surprised if they dial that back. We'll see if my prediction on that's correct. But yeah, these are some welcome changes. Honestly, I've had a blast playing in the beta so far. Speaking of which, if you ever want to join me on my stream on Twitch where I record videos like this, or my casts, or my gameplay live, go to Tasteless TV on Twitch. Please like and subscribe to the video. And let me know what you think about the changes. If you've had a chance to play, are they going in the right direction? Are there things that you foresee that you think could be a problem that maybe people haven't picked up on yet? Or maybe units aren't getting enough love and attention? I'd love to hear your thoughts on that. Thank you so much for watching me. Go to tastelessthreads.com, which is my merch site. We got a lot of cool esports, RTS, gaming stuff, something I'm sure you'll find something there that you'll like. And I hope to see you in a future video. Bye-bye.